You know how sometimes you'll cook a meal and it's like the back end of a horse's arse after it's just shit all over the road, and then you decide to grow up and try some, and to your surprise you find it's actually really nice? Well, Injustice Gods Among Us is kind of like that, but in video game form. Injustice Gods Among Us is a fighting video game based upon the fictional universe of DC Comics. The game was developed by NetherRealm Studios and published by Warner Bros. I played the remastered version on the PS5 and had no performance issues. The storyline is set in a parallel universe within the DC comic multiverse. In this reality, Superman becomes distressed as Lois Lane dies at the hands of the Joker and therefore sets out to establish a new world order and destroy Metropolis with a nuclear bomb. In an effort to stop this, Batman summons counterparts of the League's members from another universe to join him and end Superman's plans to destroy the planet. So, straight off the bat, no pun intended, I really like the story, and to be honest, it's probably what kept me playing. Now, what I'm going to say may piss people off, but I'm not really a fan of fighting games as I get bored too easily, but Injustice did a really good job of keeping me engaged whilst playing the story mode. I will admit that the gameplay felt a bit dated and it became repetitive if you're like me and just mash the buttons because you can't be bothered to go into the move list and pick an attack. I mean, I did at the beginning of the game, but then I just decided to wing it and just to see what happened, but overall it was fun and I liked kind of seeing all of the characters that hadn't been brought to life yet on the big screen, as I'm not a huge comic book reader, so there were a few new ones in there that I didn't know about. I could probably tell you the characters I'm playing as, but not what they do or any of their history, so it was nice to learn a bit about that as well. I'm a huge Batman fan though, and that's why I decided to play this game. I was also surprised to read how well this game did on its release, as Injustice became the highest selling game in the United States and United Kingdom during the month of its release. The game also won several awards for Best Selling Fighting Game in 2013, and there was a sequel, Injustice 2, which was released in May 2017, which I intend to review on this channel soon. I did a bit of digging as well and found that Injustice is made by the same people who make Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm Studios, who are owned by Warner Bros., so it all started to make sense. So, how's the gameplay? Well, the game does offer a tutorial section which I found somewhat helpful, but I only really remembered how to use the basic attacks, which I guess is the point, but I never really felt like I was in a position to start doing like the big combos or the really hard moves, and it doesn't really teach you beyond the starting point. I think it could have helped if they had options or like a move list which was in the middle of the screen so you could quickly have a look and then kind of perform those moves, so that it just gives the player a kind of gradual sense of progression that he's learning and or she is learning as you progress through the story. I also felt like the developers made a weird decision with the difficulty in this game. What I mean is, basically they do this thing where if you start winning loads in a row, they make the next enemy harder to beat and it feels like a fairer fight. But if you then lose, the difficulty goes back down and you can literally win with a few moves. I just felt like the game wasn't really challenging me. I remember fighting games in the past where each character you fight would represent like a more difficult challenge, but in this it just kind of felt like everyone was letting me win, which kind of goes against the point of a fighting game. I played on medium difficulty, but it wouldn't let me change this once I started playing. I found like the same issue was on the hard mode as well when I retried the campaign for that purpose. What I will say though is that there's nothing more satisfying than actually putting a combo together that leads into the super move or the finisher, I think they call it on Mortal Kombat. I also found that there didn't seem to be a perfect way to control the fighter, as using the stick on the controller was too sensitive and caused the character I was controlling to jump up, down and left and right like they'd just eaten a bag of Skittles. Whilst using the D-pad caused them to turn into an old age driver on a motorway. So I would have liked there to be some balance so I could just pick one, but I ended up switching between the two at different stages depending on how close I was to the opponent. Anyway, all in all, this game really surprised me, and I would definitely recommend it. I don't think I'd pay full price for it, but that's probably because fighting games aren't really my first choice. But for those of you who like fighting games and superheroes, I think you should definitely pick this up and give it a go. If you like this video, although it was quick, please like and subscribe. And until then, I will see you in the next one.